This is the story about the making of the album Haveli by the band The Three Cs, where three musicians and a recording engineer from Australia met with three musicians from India to workshop and produce an album of original contemporary folk fusion music. We recorded the album at the Piramal Haveli, a 100-year-old guest house located deep in the Rajasthan desert, which we set up as a recording studio and used for 10 days of intense collaborative intercultural music making. The sounds we created draw influence from Bengali and Nepali folk musics, mixed with tribal drumming, contemporary rock and pop musical elements, and the freedom and feeling of spiritual jazz music.
My name is Matt Keegan, and I am a musician from Sydney, Australia. And I came up with the idea of putting together an intercultural, international collaborative ensemble I called the Three Cs. This band comprises of like-minded musical adventurers from Australia and India. And this is the story about the making of our first album, Haveli. So let's get started.
My inspiration for undertaking this project came about during my first trip to India in 2009, when my wife Charmaine and I visited this amazing country on our honeymoon. We were encouraged to visit India by a close family friend and proud Bengali woman, Sutopa, whose kids I had grown up with in Sydney. Sutopa invited us to stay at her place in Shantiniketan, a 2-hour train journey north of Kolkata in West Bengal. She introduced me to many local musicians whom I began jamming with every day. I became particularly fascinated by the music made by the local Baul community and began taking lessons and soaking up as much information as I could. One young local singer made a big impression on me. His name was Rajudas Baul. Each morning I would practice my saxophone on the roof of Sutopa's apartment, which drew the attention of a curious musician from the Himalayas who was studying at the local university. His name was Deashish Mothi, and we became firm friends and musical companions. All this music making gave Sutopa the idea of putting on a concert which she organised to be held in the town square. She invited her cousin to join us from Kolkata, and it was on stage during the performance that I met him, the drummer and composer Gaurav Chatterjee. The concert was a great success, and afterwards, while reflecting on the music we had made, I felt that something more could be developed. I had a feeling that an interesting new sound could be made by inviting the three open-minded musicians I just met to work in collaboration with three like-minded friends from back home in Australia.
In 2011, I wrote a proposal to return to India and record an album of original intercultural music, which was funded when I won a National Australian Music Prize called the Friedman Fellowship.
We had liftoff. After a year of planning at home in Sydney, sound engineer Richard Belkner and myself boarded a plane bound for New Delhi, India on New Year's Eve 2012. It was here that we reunited with our long-time musical collaborator Cameron Dale, who, as fate would have it, had been living in India with his wife Kath and son Tana. Kath had a job working in the Department of Foreign Affairs in New Delhi. We began pre-producing the album at Cameron's home studio in Delhi on the 1st of January 2013.
So I lived in South Delhi. It's a mega city. It's the second biggest city in India, 18 million people. And it's intense, it's crazy. There's too many people to be in one place. So New Year's Eve 2013, two of my dearest friends came over to visit me in India, and we had a great party. We got some fireworks, and we hung out, and it was an amazing time to reconnect as friends, firstly, and just hang. And then it was in that hazy post-New Year's afterglow that we bunkered down in my little studio in South Delhi and got to dream big dreams. We got to ask questions about what we wanted to do.
So Matt prepared for going by writing 30 or 40 cells of music, and we took all those cells and played them and juggled them amongst ourselves and pieced them together into more songs. We had a great time in that week, the three of us.
There's also a bunch of other boring stuff. We needed to find mic stands, we needed to find mic cables. You have to go find these things. We had a guy soldering cables for us, just to get this ready. Because we knew going to Bagar, where we went to record, you can't go down to your local music store. We had to bring everything with us in order to make it work.
The rest of the boys arrived for the second week, and we rehearsed and developed those songs and added songs which the other gents had brought.
The other musicians involved it had that excitement of meeting them for the first time and getting to know their music and getting turned on by what they were bringing, a new sound. And each in their own way, I loved what each of them brought. It was amazing.
Yeah, it's so wonderful to meet all of us in Delhi and having this wonderful music sharing time and with no stress, yeah, everything I think came very naturally to all the musicians, and that's how they contributed in 3Cs. And I'm very happy, very from inside my heart to be part of it, and we could do this wonderful album. Doing something that was always a dream, you know.
I had heard about things like that, you know, where like different bands, some albums, you know, like I would read about it, and then going there and then recording there, like just, you know, 7 days of rehearsals before in Delhi, and then going there. I would say not just the Haveli, the rehearsal process also, the way we worked. I do think it has, you know, it did teach me a lot of things somewhere, you know, and to experience that, the way we work together, to experience that itself is very enriching for me.
অপূর্ব, এটা সত্যি আমার কাছে মানে একটা অপূর্ব ফুল জিনিস হয়, যেমন ফুল হয়, ফুল জিনিসটা দেখতে তো ভালো লাগে, খুব তার সুগন্ধ ছড়ায়, সেরকম হচ্ছে ম্যাট কিগান। তাই আমাদের মানে ম্যাট কিগান হচ্ছে একটা ফুল, তাই আমরা ভ্রমরা তো ম্যাট কেসে ধরেছি, এবং সত্যি একটা খুব সুন্দর জিনিস হচ্ছে, খুব আনন্দ।
So I've met a whole bunch of new instruments working with the Indian musicians. All of the instruments, in fact, that those boys had, I'd never recorded before, and it was a matter of listening to them in a acoustic environment and sussing out the different nuances of the percussion instruments and the stringed instruments for that matter.
It's a great mix because we come from a very different backgrounds. Like our lead singer Raju Das Baul is a Baul musician from Shantiniketan, and I have a background of Nepali folk music and also a bit of Indian classical and Baul music that I carry with myself. And also Gabuji, drums and percussion, is one of the best among us. And yeah, and Cameron, of course, amazing with the guitars and musical thoughts, and team, very silent but very effective. And it was so nice to work with Richie B. I miss him very much.
So young Raju, the Bowel's vocal is incredibly dynamic. He's got more of a dynamic range than probably anybody I've ever met recording, so it was quite the challenge with limited hardware especially to capture this man's voice, but we managed to do so with a number of different mic techniques and positions, and having temper his dynamic a little bit also. In terms of technical challenges, I guess the gear restriction, the amount of weight, and being able to design a system which would cover our sonic palette and our baggage allowance, and be robust enough, you know, with the dust and the noise and the dirt and the travelling and all that stuff, and the fact that we'd have no ability to repair any of the equipment on tour. That was a lot of the consideration.
We went to a open mic night in Delhi one night to blow off some steam, and we played some of my rock tunes, and Gabu hadn't even heard them before, and Matt played sax, and we just got up on stage at this bar, and we just smashed them out. And every Thursday night, beautiful Sufi musicians would sing these Haveli songs of devotion at a tomb, 600-year-old tomb just around the corner from my house, where I took the guys and we had the best beef kebabs ever down at Ghalib's. Shout out to Ghalib's.
So, after a week of rehearsing, it was time to embark on the next part of our adventure. We jam-packed 2 SUVs full of instruments, recording equipment and musicians, and started the long, slow drive south, firstly through the endless suburbs and small towns surrounding Delhi, and finally into the Rajasthani desert, heading towards a small town we were searching for called Bagar.
So that's where we found Piramal Haveli in Bagar, It was 5 hours drive away. It was just this weird building built by this crazy mercantile. Marwari was his tribe in Rajasthan. He was a show-off. He wanted to show all of this money he'd made in Mumbai as a trader, and so he built an Italian-style Haveli in the middle of the desert. And you know, all these amazing hand-painted pictures of the frescoes, and it was all supposed to be modern and crazy, and like you had those paintings of a guy flying a plane, which in the 1920s would have been pretty bizarre. You know, it was hilarious. It was like proper psychedelic. It was awesome.
When we arrived in Bagar after a 6-hour car trip, we went on an exploration around the Haveli and found our bedrooms, and then the main recording hall, which used to be the banquet hall. And it was a massive room. I've always lusted after an enormous recording space, my own studio, and having been presented with it and stuck there for a week, I've discovered a few limitations which I had to work quite hard to manage. Some of the ambience and the reverb from the room you hear on the record. There's quite a lot of reverb, but none of that's fake. It's all derived from the spaces that we use. The backing vocals, say for example, we recorded in quite a large marble men's room. The drums, bass, guitars, and a lot of the percussion and horns were recorded in the dining room. Some of the overdubs we did do in the bedrooms, which provided a slightly more intimate feeling with the reverb. And also one of the tunes we recorded outside in quite a large atrium or in a courtyard with no ceiling, so you can hear the birds and the traffic and all the other natural ambiences from the desert in that track.
The Haveli is full of interesting spaces. The whole record is made using location sounds of different rooms, different areas. For a couple of things, we used a bathroom, and we used the bathroom, I'm thinking particularly of the intro to Haveli, which is me and Ashish standing in proximity to one microphone. Richie got us to move around until we were both in this sweet spot. It sounds enormous. You should check out the air and the space.
And the fact that when you're one with nature, I mean, you know, your music, whatever work you do, that gets directly inspired by that also. And you know, for someone like me who's grown up in a city like Calcutta, going to Rajasthan, to a place which is absolutely the opposite of where I've been living all my life, and you know, just going up to the terrace and then looking at a tree and seeing it's full of peacocks. I mean, stuff like that. You know, it's incredible. You know.
On a technical level, the equipment we took were 3 audio interfaces, 3 metric halo interfaces, and a laptop. I built all fresh cables and took microphones only. We had a set of headphone system delivered to India. The power can be very unpredictable, so we brought ourselves a UPS power supply and some distribution to combat that. You know, when the town power ran out, we'd have the generator kick in, and the UPS will allow us to save our work.
Yeah, and we shared very good times and did a lot of fun things, you know. It's a time that all of us will never forget. And this music bring us together, and I felt we become very good friends.
From the badminton matches to going to fly the kites.
And we wrote one song about the kites that was everywhere there. Yeah, kites I will never forget in Haveli. It's a very fascinating thing from my childhood, and I was there in the kite festival. So yeah, that's one of the strong memory that I have of Haveli.
We were just about to record the song, and this doof doof music on the Barbie girl started blaring across the entire village, and I politely asked the hotelier if he would ask the people to turn their music down. He said, no, I can't do that, but I'll come with you. So I took off, walking on foot around the town to try and locate the sound of this music so that I could perhaps negotiate with them and get our recording done. So I came to a locked, large steel gate and knocked on the door. The man came. The hotelier interpreted for me. I said, "Can you please ask these men to turn the music off?" So the men led me in through the big steel gate, past the goats and the chickens, past Nana making today's meals, and a massive Alsatian dog chained up and almost bit my leg off. And then he took me to the roof where they had this ancient, huge PA and 5 men standing around listening to distorted music and flying kites. So I said, "Can we turn this off? We're here from Australia doing this recording project." "No, we can't turn it off," they said. So I said, "Well, how about you turn it off for an hour or an hour and a half, and we'll make our recording, and I'll bring my party of guys back." "Of course we can do that," they say. So the music went straight off, went back, we recorded our track, and then gathered our team and went up and had a small party with these guys on their roof.
The place itself inspires you so much. The surroundings, I mean, that is incredible. And the way we worked on the music, and every day we would get up, go record, and what it sounds like finally, with everyone's elements coming in together, it's incredible.
I met this peanut seller guy right outside the gate of our Haveli. It's an old 65-year-old man. And I happened to sit beside him and have a cup of tea. And he, in the morning, it is his everyday thing that he recites Kabir bhajans, devotional song, Kabir's devotional song. And he sang a couple of those lines to me. Meeting him was very, very inspiring during that Haveli trip. And he helped me writing a song for the album for Haveli.
And every night we would go up to the terrace and just check out the place.
খুব আনন্দ, আনন্দ ছাড়া একটাই কথা বলতে পারি, শুধু আনন্দ। আনন্দের মাঝখানে আমরা মানে অনেক আনন্দ করছি। একটু ঘুরতে যাওয়া সবাই মিলে, একটু আলাদা ধরনের জিনিস, একটা ময়ূর ঘুম ভাঙাচ্ছে, ময়ূর ডেকে ঘুম ভাঙাচ্ছে, এগুলো সত্যি একটা আনন্দের এবং খুব খুব ভালো লাগা বিষয়। সত্যিই খুব আনন্দ কাটিয়েছি। আর এই তারপরে সবাই মিলে হাসি ঠাট্টা মজা।
There were some beautiful moments during the process where Ashish and I realized with my 12-string acoustic guitar, the little mini Maton designed and built in Australia, if I tuned it to his Esraj, which is a bowed instrument with all these sympathetic strings lying underneath, and they sing when he hits certain notes, he fire off these sympathetic strings, so it has this ghostly reverb just within the instrument. But if I tune to him, we can sound crazy. And that second last track is totally out of that world. It's Godfather is more or less an improvised track. At the time, I probably couldn't play it again. I'd have to transcribe it. I don't know how we did it. It all came from me tuning to him. So whatever it ended up being, I could play sympathetically with him, and the two of us ended up sounding like a string orchestra. It was so much fun. And so that was a great example where if we're prepared to meet and tune together, we both end up making sounds that neither of us could have made. It was awesome.
Every time we recorded in any of the environments there, I used ambience mics as well as direct mics for the sound to, replace the need to use artificial reverb after the fact. And on clarity, you'll notice the thunders captured from the microphones I placed in my shower. Actually recorded in place, so we didn't drop that in. That actually happened when we were doing one of the overdubs after dinner one night in my bedroom. We were all standing around, and the track finished, and I heard the thunder, and the boys didn't. So I had to quickly make sure they didn't speak during the end. And you actually notice as the thunder tails off, you can hear the men cleaning up the dishes from dinner in the background.
হ্যাঁ, আমাদের স্মৃতি খুব ভালো। আমার কাছে ছবিটাও আছে। তো ওখানকার একটা ফটোগ্রাফার ছিল, তো তাকে ডাকা হয়েছিল ফটো তুলতে। তো সে বিভিন্ন রকমের পোজ যেটা বলে এইভাবে তো সেটাই আমার কাছে এখনো খুব মনে আছে এই ব্যাপার।
What I like about that photographer is he came with proper suit. And he even had a perfume on with his properly dressed hair, and as if he is going to be the one and who is going to actually be in the photo session. But we look terrible. Yeah, we enjoyed that whole photo session.
The one chance we did get to listen to the music on speakers at the Haveli was on the roof. So I set the speakers on either pillar of the courtyard and with long cables, and we got to sit back and blast it out into the desert, and actually it sounded amazing. The idea of not having any walls in the control room was actually really cool. It's a listening environment different to any that I'd actually heard before. I wouldn't mind a control room without a roof.
আছে মজার কারখানা রে, আছে মজার কারখানা রে, আছে মজার কারখানা।
So it was an absolute treat to meet three incredible musicians. They each blew me away hardcore. They blew my mind.
It's amazing for a musician like me. I think Haveli provides a very good blend of these two different music, and that has given a very nice platform for the music and lyrics that we incorporated in this. I would like to say every one of our band member to come together once again, share that same musical energy and thought, make some concert. I think Indian people will really like it.
I feel that it was very organic. So it sounds so original. It's very different from anything that I have heard before or been a part of before.
আমি সত্যিই আনন্দিত। আমার খুব ভালো লাগছে। ম্যাট কিকানোর মতো মানুষ পেয়েছি এবং এরকম একটা কাজ করতে পারছি। আশা করছি আরও করব জীবনে। এটাই কামনা ঠাকুরের কাছে, যাতে আমরা সবাই মিলে একসাথে থাকি এবং বড় বড় কাজ করতে পারি, এটাই ইচ্ছা।
I feel really lucky to be part of the project with some of my oldest mates and some of my newest mates. It's been a really amazing experience actually sharing all this music. So it was fun getting it back to my studio and pushing up the faders and really listening to those environments that we'd recorded in, all the things we had managed to capture with that limited amount of equipment was actually really nice and pristine. We managed to get a good balance of the right music and the sounds of India.
Let's do more albums.
And that's the end of this story. Since that magical time in 2013, the band has gone on to have many other adventures and record much more music. However, whenever we reunite, our time at the Haveli is always something we reflect on fondly. The experience made a big impression on us all and became a template for the way we still work as a touring band to this day. Because we are all busy people from such distant places, finding time to gather together in the same location is always a challenge. So when it happens, it is important to try and make it a special occasion, just like our time at the Haveli. As a band leader and musician, making this album taught me the value of shared experience, the importance of feeling relaxed but stimulated when making new work, and how surroundings directly inspire new ideas and new sounds. It was truly amazing to share one of the most wonderful times of my life with such talented and special people.